In this video, we're going to work on subtracting large whole numbers. This is probably a skill that has people the most troubled within this unit. And the biggest part that they have is the borrowing. So we're going to take an example of showing you, first of all, how to set it up. The first things that we need to look at is putting our places in the right order. So if we have the number 40,937 minus 15,260, you might end up with a problem that looks like this. We lined up our ones place values, our tens place values, our hundreds place values, thousands place values, 10,000s place values. You have to make sure you're subtracting the right places first. After that, the next thing to always look for is if the top number is big and the bottom number is small, you are good to go. But if that is not the case, you need to borrow. So if we look at the very first one, we have 7 minus 0. 7 is big, 0 is small, so we can do that. 7 minus 0 is 7. In the next column, we have 3 minus 6. 3 is smaller than 6. You cannot do that. If I had 3 apples, I can't give somebody else 6 apples. I don't have 6. So I need to borrow from next door. So we cross it out and change it to one smaller. And by doing that, we're actually adding 10 because there are 10 100s that make up the tens. So whenever you're borrowing from the place value next door, you're borrowing 10. So if we add 10 to the 3, that's how we get 13. 13 minus 6, big minus small, we can do is 7. 8 and 2, 8 is bigger than 2, so we can do that. Next, we had a 0. I cannot do. Notice I'm only going one step at a time, starting at the back. I did not borrow all the way from the beginning right away. Only borrow if you need to. In this case, we needed to, so we borrow from the 4. It gets one smaller, and the number behind it became 10 bigger. Since the number was 0, our number then becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. Here's another example. In this case, though, we had to borrow and then regroup again. So we could do 4 minus 1, and we get 3. We can do 5 minus 2 and get 3. We cannot do 1 minus 3. 1 is smaller than 3. So what we needed to do was borrow from next door. So the 7 becomes a 6, and the 1 gets 10 added to it. If it helps you, put in a plus 10 so that you can see how you got to 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. Now, when we borrowed, it made that 7 become a 6. 6 is smaller than the bottom 7. So now we have to borrow from next door. So the 8 becomes a 7. The 7 added 10 to the 6, which gave us 16. Now we can do 16 minus 7, which is 9. And then we go to our very last one, 7 minus 6, which is 1. A tip or trick: use lined paper, a notebook. Notebooks are made so well for math. The only thing is, everyone taught you how to use a notebook wrong. Notebooks should not be vertical, they should actually be horizontal in math class. The reason for it is you now have these nice columns to put your numbers in. So we are going to put each digit inside one of these lines. By doing that, we were able to organize and keep our information straight. Now, what I like to do with the second number is I like to start backwards. That way, I'm always starting in the ones place value. After that, I then move up my row. Now I can subtract these. 5 minus 6. If I have 5 apples, can I get rid of 6? Nope. So I only borrow from next door. The 1 becomes 1 less. The 5 becomes 10 bigger. So the first one, 1 less. The second one, 10 bigger. 15 minus 6 is 9. Now our new number is 0. 0 minus 1. Can I do that? No. If I have 0 pencils, I can't give my friend one of them. So I need to borrow from next door. This becomes 1 smaller, and this gets 10 bigger. 1 smaller, 10 bigger. 10 minus 1 is 9. 8 minus 8. If I have pencils, could I get rid of all 8 pencils? Yes, I would have 0 left over. 2 minus 5. No, if I have 2 cookies, I cannot give my friends 5. So I need to borrow next door. The 5 becomes 1 smaller. The 2 becomes 10 bigger. It's always wise to cross out when you've already used a piece of information so that you can keep your information straight. 12 minus 5 is 7. 4 minus 1 is 3. When we put our commas in, we always start in the ones. Ones, tens, hundreds, comma. Otherwise, you can always do 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, there's no more digits, so I have 1 comma. My answer then is 37,099. We're going to take a look at some graph examples. Here is a graph about bridges. There's some key words to pay attention to when you're doing any type of graph word problems. Like in the first question, what is the difference between the longest and shortest bridge? The word difference means subtract. You're finding an amount that's between them. So I need to find the longest bridge. Well, they all start with a 1. The next number is a 2, a 1, a 2, a 3. Ooh, there is my longest bridge. So I'm going to write that down. If you don't have lined paper, spread your digits out farther, and then you can always put lines between them and create your own lined paper. And that way you keep your information more organized also. So that was my longest bridge. The smallest number in that second column was this one here. So that's my shortest bridge. 1, 1, 7, 0, 5, 7. And I'm going to subtract them. 2 minus 7, I can't do. 12 minus 7 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. 9 minus 7 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Since that's my last digit in the front, I don't need to put it. So my answer is 2, 2, 3, 3, 5. Counting from the back, 1, 2, 3, comma. And we need a label. What this is being measured in is written up here at the top, and it says feet. Now, sometimes you have different kind of words. How much longer? Longer still is a difference word. How much more? How much longer? How much shorter? Those are all words that are describing a difference between two numbers. So again, you're going to want to try to find the numbers between those bridges. Here's our first bridge. So I'm going to write that number down, keeping my digits spread out to keep it organized. And I'm going to write the second bridge down, which is this one. And really making sure I line up all those place values. And because it's a difference word, I'm going to subtract again. 0 minus 7, I can't do. So I'm going to borrow and make that a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 minus 5, I can't do. So that becomes 1 smaller. This becomes 10 bigger. 13 minus 5 is 8. 3 minus 0, I can do. 1 minus 7, I have to borrow. 11 minus 7 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So my answer in this case is 4, 3, 8, 3. And I have to go put my comma in. 1, 2, 3, comma. And again, this was measured in feet. So please take your time, show your work on those borrowing, and practice, practice, practice.